Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bit of an early one, this one. Bit unusual, isn't it, Duke?
Just a tad, my friend. How are we?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm living the dream, as they say, living the dream. For those of you watching, please don't forget to like, comment on, and share the stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. As always, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. And we are here, Duke, to discuss the UEFA Europa League semi-final second leg, where we obviously go to Frankfurt 2-1 down. Not good. What are your thoughts?
Same as my thoughts were before. Still confident.
You're still confident?
Oh, massively. Listen, we did the review for Arsenal, didn't we, on Monday evening? And after it had finished, you screen shared the game. Leverkusen, wasn't it?
Yep.
Leverkusen versus Frankfurt. And I know, like us, they rested a lot of players, but God damn it, they looked so poor, Rob, in that game. They looked awful. Now, I've had a bit of a research, and I've had a little bit of a research, and their home game is fucking awful. Home form
form's crap. Yeah,
it's something like 19 games, 10 losses, 4 wins, 5 draws, or something like awfully ridiculous like that. Whereas their away form is completely the opposite. It turns their season on its head. So, from what Leon's home form was actually quite impressive, and we went there. We won 3-0, and we put on a show. I see something similar on the horizon, Robert. I really do see something similar on the horizon. I think that if we go there with the same mentality we went to Lyon with, and play on the front foot, which I think is what's going to be needed.
Well, we need to.
I don't. No. You don't need to. You can do what we do, and that's hope for the counter attack. Unfortunately, Lyon play the same way we do.
Yeah.
So we are going to have to mix it up slightly. I don't think we need to be on the front foot. I want us to be on the front foot because we need that first goal. I think the first goal in this game is crucial and all important. I was
very likely decides it, doesn't it?
I was talking to it doesn't. No, again, I was talking to a few Liverpool fans last night, mate, at half time. As you know, I have a hell of a lot downstairs that come in, Liverpool fans, possibly. And we were busy for the game last night, and it was all doom and gloom for Liverpool fans at half time. They couldn't see a way back. They couldn't see that, Klopp was going to rally the troops at half time. And it was quite funny to see a few of them get quite angry, pissed off, because obviously they've not felt that this season. They've not been on the receiving end of what they were for the 45 minutes last night. But I turned around and said, right, listen, next goal is crucial. This was my exact words to young Jake, who was in the pub last night, not Cox.
Not that Jake.
And I turned around and said, listen, your first game is your first goal for the second half is just ridiculously important. Now, Liverpool came out, they played their game for the first 10 minutes of the second half, and they dominated possession. They pushed they pushed Villarreal back, and what happened was Liverpool were patient. He says that. I'm going to cover something in a minute about that game.
Was it Roberto in disguise?
The first goal, as I was explaining to the young lad about being patient and waiting for that time to come, Fabinho put the ball through the keeper's legs. Now, unfortunately for the keeper, it's gone through his legs. I don't blame, and I'm just going to go with what Gazza says there. I don't blame him for it. Don't blame him for it at all. It's one of them things. All goalkeepers get nutmegged. Great Peter Schmeichel was nutmegged more times than I care to imagine. Then you have the second goal. It's a great downward header from Diaz. Let's not mess around. It's a downward header. It's going to be difficult for the keeper to save when it's at him and between his legs. He couldn't get his legs closed in time. He's got himself set. It's gone through his legs. The third goal, however, I don't put any blame on the keeper whatsoever. You know, they're playing. They're trying to get the next goal. They're playing up on halfway. What's the keeper meant to do? Stay on his line and let Mane run at him? I make the keeper right. If he got there 2 milliseconds beforehand, he wins the ball. No one's thinking about Mane scoring that goal. He gets there a millisecond beforehand, and we might be seeing Mane being rushed to hospital. As it was, the goalkeeper comes out. He's a couple of milliseconds too late. And we're talking about him being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I have to say, I don't blame him. Kieran says, Diaz, what amazing. Well, we were linked with him. But again, you know,
one that got away.
Well, it weren't even the one that we had, mate. Let's not mess around. Listen, Liverpool came in, and no disrespect, if you don't know West Ham and possible the future building that we're going to try and create. Liverpool are second in the Premier League. Liverpool are now Champions League finalists. They've already won the Carabao Cup. They're in the FA Cup final. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to do the quadruple. I don't think City are going to roll over for them in the league. So, City have that upper hand. I'm kind of hoping someone fucks up before City come to us, so we don't have to be responsible for Liverpool winning the league when we beat City. I can't be dealing with that shit. But that being said, it's that's that. I think if we can go there and be patient, that's what that was my Liverpool part of the story was we go there, we're patient. Don't try and force things. Don't try and rush things, because when you start rushing things and forcing things, you're going to make mistakes. They will score from our mistakes. If we push too far up the pitch, we play that high line. It's going to be one of them. But I am confident. I really, really am confident.
Fair. Before we get into my predicted lineups, and there are a few caveats, I'll get the officials out of the way. They're all from Spain. Jesus Gil Manzano,
well done,
is the referee. His assistants are Diego Barbero and Angel Navarro. The fourth official is Jose Maria Sanchez. The VAR is Alejandro Hernandez, and the assistant VAR is Juan Martinez Munera. Did you like that?
I love the way you rolled your R's.
I went native, didn't I?
I can understand why the missus is with you, the way you moved your tongue there. So it's fine. It's all good. I can fully understand. It's congratulations, Mrs. Gates. That's all I'm going to say on the matter.
Fair enough. Let's get.
So the video I lent you was a good one, was it?
No comment. We'll talk afterwards. Okay, here's the starting 11 predictions. Okay, so let's go full screen with that, Duke. And obviously, you guys in the live chat and yourself, Duke, I'd really like to know what your thoughts are on my thoughts on the starting 11 that David Moyes could deploy. You're shaking your head, and I know why you're shaking your head. Anyway, so Areola in goal, back four, Ben Johnson left, Kurt Zouma and Craig Dawson central, Vladimir Kufel as the right back. The double pivot, Declan Rice, the captain, and Thomas Souček. Now, this is where I think that quite possibly Duke is shaking his head. I don't think he's shaking his head at Jared Bowen. I don't think he's shaking his head at Manuel Lanzini. But I think he's shaking his head at a certain Mr. Saeed Benrahma. Am I right?
Oh, I just gave myself whiplash. Sorry.
Anyway, and also Michail Antonio up top. So go on, talk to me. Why were you shaking your head?
Listen, he ain't starting. He ain't good enough to start in a game of this magnitude. I'm sorry.
Really?
I really don't think so, mate. I hit the post on Sunday. What else you got?
I would say that his performance on the last couple of outings, you could argue, okay, maybe they've not been outstanding, but I would argue that they have been better than Pablo Fornals. Cheers, Chris. Same to you, mate.
Neither have been amazing.
Would you concur with that?
Neither have been amazing. I agree with you. What I will say is, I just don't see him playing.
I know you shake your head, Kieran.
Mate, he ain't good enough. He's championship level at best. That will show him as a superstar at championship. In the right team in the Premier League, he will be okay. Show some flashes of some good stuff, indeed. But he isn't. He's no.
So would you put Fornals there, despite the fact that the last couple of games he's been shocking in my view?
Even I'd still do it
for the work rate, or
because he's not Benrahma. I know that sounds really childish, but Fornals has the ability to have, and I've fucking numerous times, footballing intelligence. Okay, Fornals does have it. He does have it. He knows when to recycle. Yes, his last couple of games haven't been amazing. He hasn't set the world on fire for whatever reason. But for me, he's still the better option than Said Benrahma. Fornals won't run himself into a cul-de-sac and then go, what the fuck do I do with it now? He won't headbutt a brick wall 47 times thinking he's going to get a different outcome on the 48th, which is all Benrahma does for me. And I'm sorry. You guys on this channel and every other fucking channel out there know that Duke doesn't like, say, Benrahma as a player. That's not going to change. I don't, as Gaz says there, I don't see Benny being here next season. I really don't.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And that's on him, Rob. That's on him. His inability to change certain aspects of his game to fit into a top side. His inability to learn and develop as a player to fit into a top side, that's on him. He's been given the opportunities to shine, and he has.
David Moyes has to take some responsibility as well, though.
No. Why would he?
Because a top-level coach would get the very best out of a player, and I'm not too sure that he is.
If the player doesn't want to learn and adapt, Dan, if the player doesn't want to learn, adapt, and move forward with his own talent, which I don't doubt that Benrahma has, there's only so far you can drag a person by the scruff of their neck. It's the same as the old adage: you can lead a horse to water. Okay, it's the same adage. Benrahma looked banging against Newcastle, and then all of a sudden I've just seen this. That's all I've seen from Benrahma. He looked banging against Newcastle. I thought, here we go. I ain't going to hear the end of this because he's going to have a cracking season. Turns out he's been just as shit as he was last year. And
one bet to get 10 goals, wasn't he?
Yeah, something stupid like that. What's he got? 6. And again, I'm not digging. I'm just saying. Gazza, you can say, look what happened to Vlasic. Vlasic cost us £7 million less, and he's been here a year less. If you want to make comparisons, let's wait another year. But also bearing in mind that Benrahma cost us 25, and Vlasic has cost us. Well, he will cost us 17 if we go on to win the Champions League. He goes on to win the Ballon d'Or.
27 is the final score. Yeah. If it goes, it's 17 that's agreed.
Yeah.
And then the rest is on add-ons.
And then when you consider that, obviously we have to win the Champions League to pay out X amount more. He has to be Europe's Golden Boot scorer to win for another few million quid. He has to win a Ballon d'Or because that's exactly how Gold and Sullivan have done it. It's never going to come to anywhere near the 28 or 38 that's constantly mooted about. People that peddle that false narrative that he cost us that much are talking shit, absolute shit. But you've got to give Vlasic another season. We've given Benny 2 seasons at the club. You've given Vlasic 1. Bearing in mind he cost £7 million less. If anything, Rob, I prefer if Fornals doesn't play, I would like to see Lanzini out on the left, and I'd like to see Vlasic in the hole behind Antonio.
You think that could work?
Damn right, I think it could work. It's Vlasic's normal place.
No, but it's not Lanzini's.
Sorry, Gazza. I apologise. I've read that wrong, mate. And I have my hands up. I do believe Vlasic should be played more, but then in the same way that Benrahma wasn't used as much last season, it just follows suit that he's doing the same. Bowen didn't play a great deal in his first season. He was the most sub player. You look at him in his second and third season, different story in it. So I think that you'll probably see Vlasic, if Vlasic comes good, a bit like Bowen did, then you'll see a lot more of Vlasic next season, possibly. And I know she's on a coach on her way to Frankfurt.
She might even be watching this. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
8.5 hours.
Yeah, fuck that. I can't even sit on a bus for 45 minutes, let alone for 8.5 hours. Possibly you'll see more of Vlasic next season, because if the rumours are to be believed and Lanzini does go home to Argentina, that's a void that can quite easily be filled by Vlasic. So I'd actually like to see Vlasic there tomorrow night, actually, and give either Lanzini or Fornell's Benrahma's. But I think you've got everything right by the Benrahma one there, mate, because for me, Ben Johnson was outstanding in Lyon going forward as well. Aimless cross for Declan Rice's goal, as I've said probably about 300 times before. But, you know, still... still a better crosser of the ball than Benrahma.
Ooh, I might have perhaps just put Benrahma in just to stir the shit pot.
Yeah, you? No.
But no, seriously, I this is my personal opinion. I think on the basis of the last couple of games, I don't think that Pablo Fornells, in my opinion, has any right to expect to walk into the starting 11 tomorrow.
No, I agree.
And then your option is, okay, who could you put on the left? Well, you could turn around and say Vlasic, but that's not his position for me.
No.
I know we have put him there, but I don't think you're seeing the best out of him there. So I really wouldn't. So the only other person I think is a viable option is Benny. Now, like I say, has he set the world on light recently? No, he hasn't. But if I have to compare and contrast him against the performances recently of Pablo Fornells, in my opinion, I think he's been the better of the two. Not fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, but he's, you know, in the first leg, that moment of skill where he got away from the markers, got a shot away, and was very, very unlucky with it. Had that gone top bins, everyone would have been singing his praises and all the rest of it. But it obviously didn't. It is what it is. But I personally don't think that Benrahma's a bad shout. Just my opinion. Obviously, you disagree quite vehemently, but there you go. Appreciate that, John. Always appreciate the compliments. Thanks for watching. Should we
That being said,
go on.
Everyone jump and give it a like. Come on, you gorgeous.
Yes.
Hit that like button. Hit the like button. If you think we're wonderful, just go over and hit that like button. Tell us how much you do like it. Come on. Be fair.
All is good. Right. Okay. So I'll go full screen. I'll just change it over and go full screen. Get rid of that. Hang on. Get rid of that. Go full screen. Okay. Now, I have to stress, ladies and gentlemen, I put this together last night, and I've since discovered that there's a couple of question marks over a couple of these players. But let's just go with it right now. Kevin Trapp in goal. They will deploy a 3-4-2-1 formation. Now, Evan Ndika didn't play in the first leg because he was suspended. I suspect he will come back in on the left of a defensive unit. Hinteregger was central in the first leg, but according to the UEFA website, there's a Frankfurt reporter by the name of Stefan Potter, and he says that Martin Hinteregger...
Nice German name.
Yes. Stefan Potter. Says that Martin Hinteregger is a doubt, and Al-Mami Toure, who played in the first leg, would replace him should Hinteregger not make it. But let's go with the next one. Tuta on the right with the back three. The midfield four, Kostic left, Knauf the goal scorer after 50 seconds in the first leg on the right, Rode and Sal as the central two, Rode the captain. Kamada, who I was very impressed with in that first leg, and obviously got the second goal, which proved crucial, will be behind Rafael Borre, who will be the number 9. Now, Lindstrom is the one that the other injury doubt. Now, Jesper Lindstrom is a bit of a doubt. I'm not too sure whether he will make it. And I suspect that if he does not make it, then the probable replacement, I'm not too sure who you might be looking at there, whether it might be Jakic or whoever. But your thoughts, Duke?
Shit, isn't it? I mean,
well, I know you like your German football, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pissed off, mate. I saw Karim Adeyemi, someone who I've been banging about for months. Rob is now looks like he's going to Borussia Dortmund with no release clause, which is so fucking annoying.
Yeah, you've been going on about him for ages.
February? No, last year, February.
Yeah.
At least August anyway, because I was talking about us signing him during the window, wasn't I? So you've just seen what I've started, didn't you?
I have. I've just clocked it.
I think we need to phone the men in white coats with the arms that do up around the back.
Do you want me to put it up? Do you want me to put it up?
Go on, put it up.
Address it. Go on.
Put it up.
Go on. I know Scott's watching, and we know that Scott's a Saeed Benrahma fan. That's absolutely fine, no problem. And we know that you're on the opposite side of that particular coin.
I have one question, and one question only for Mr. Venn, and I will listen. I value his opinion. I don't necessarily agree with his opinion, but I value his opinion. Can you honestly say that Benrahma isn't a flop for what we've paid and the 2 seasons that he's now been at the club? Not being funny, he was that bad that we got someone in on loan, but before we got that said someone in on loan, i.e. Jesse Lingard, we had to buy a player so we could get someone on loan to replace him in the starting lineup. That's how bad Benrahma was. We got a loan player in after buying him so we could cancel his loan deal, right? That's how bad Benrahma is, right? And I felt sorry for him at that point. Now I'm at a point where he's a flop. He's an expensive flop. He's not quite a Savio flop, but he's a flop. And
I'm going to disagree with both of you.
I don't think he's good enough for us.
I'm going to disagree with both you and Scott in the sense that I don't think that Saeed Benrahma has been a flop. I don't think he's been a rip-roaring success either, but I don't think he's been a blatant flop like a Savio. I don't also think that referring to Nikola Vlasic as floppage is fair either. He's, as Duke said earlier, he has not had a full preseason. He hasn't. We're judging him too early, in my opinion, especially for someone that's got a £17 million price tag with another £10 million in add-ons attached to that. I think to call him floppage at this moment is premature. Now, if this time next year we've still not seen much more out of Nikola Vlasic, then at that point I might be inclined to say exactly as what you're saying this season with Benrahma, Duke. Maybe it's time that it's best for all parties that he's moved on to pastures new. But I think right now it's a little bit too soon.
Yeah,
just my opinion.
Exactly what I said. I said it earlier. If Vlasic doesn't comes, we gave Benrahma last season. He's come through this. He's now got this season. As I said, he hasn't developed as we would have liked him to. Okay, he's not adapted his game to fit into the side that
Anton.
He's not adapted his game to fit into the side for the needs of the club, not the needs of the individual. Okay, and thank you, Budgie. And Vlasic right now, if Vlasic next season doesn't do the same, then obviously there's another problem with exactly that. Russ.
What?
Russ didn't save me, Anton. He just kept me company.
No, Do you not take this pointless? Because this is Scott's second point. He is the third highest goal scorer this season. That is an unarguable fact.
How many goals has he got?
And he is also the most sub. I think he's got 6, hasn't he?
Okay.
Most sub player.
That just shows you how bad our strikers are. If he's the third top scorer and he's got 6, okay, that's still not good enough on a return. So I didn't want to go into this. I really didn't, because it's a pointless conversation because people don't want to listen, and that's the issue.
Yeah,
people don't want to listen. You know,
everyone's got their opinions,
and that's it. And I Scott's comment here of watch the positions that Saeed. Watch the positions that Saeed takes up. 8 times out of 10 we found to find him. That's bollocks. I was there on Sunday and I watched him receive the ball on every occasion that we could find him, and he did fuck all with it. I agree that maybe if we had a actual striker on the pitch, he probably would have more assists. Maybe, but I still don't think. I still don't think he's good enough. I still don't. He runs a lot into cul-de-sacs. Like I say, definition of I can't remember the phrase, but he's doing the same thing over again, expecting a different outcome. And Benny is that. Benny is that. He does the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Runs into cul-de-sacs, runs into players, loses the ball. No, he didn't. He kept me company. And I think is. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I want him to
9 goals in all competitions.
I want him to succeed. Unfortunately, it won't be at West Ham. It won't be at West Ham.
Oh, I agree with that statement. I think it probably won't be.
But he doesn't fit the way we play. Again, as I've said already, if he does bottle out of tackles, he's a pansy when it comes to that shit. What I feel with Benny is if he could have adapted his game, which I have seen once or twice, that he has come back and supported Cresswell when we've needed it. Seen it once or twice. Unfortunately, I just don't think that he wants it enough at West Ham. I think that's the best way of putting it. If he wanted it, if he wanted a career at West Ham, if he wants him to, if he wanted to go on and be the player that, he was compared to, I think, by the club more than anything else, in Dimitri Payet, he would have made those adaptations by now, and he would have worked on the side of the game that Moyes wanted. It's not a case of trying to turn central players into wingers, Mitch. It really isn't. I think it's more along the lines of trying to, that's the word, thank you, Becca, definition of insanity. I think what he's trying to do is trying to make them better players and be able to play in several key positions. It's not a case of trying to change their out-and-out position. He has done that with Antonio, and he did do that with Marko Arnautovic for the better. It's not always going to work. That's fine. Yes, he is. I agree he's a 10, but I also think that he gets bundled out too much. I think when he's out on the left and he can come in, as we saw against Frankfurt, he came in off the wing, let go with that right foot and ping one off the post. That's where, for me, for my opinion, that's where he's better. He's coming in onto that right boot and having a swing. He's not any good at going out onto the left and trying to beat people down the wing and swing across him. He's not good enough. He doesn't have the footballing intelligence to be able to do that. But I think putting him in the 10 role, he gets too bogged down. I think he gets swamped too quickly. And unfortunately, when he goes to move it out from his right foot, he's tending to be a little bit too further over of the pitch. It's not. I just don't think. As I say, he doesn't have the footballing intelligence. He doesn't like to. use his brain in certain situations. He loses the ball too much. I think your brother's right there. He doesn't have the strength or the pace.
I think
to beat
he slows
people.
the play up a little bit more.
Far too much, unfortunately, and we can't afford that.
That's the thing that I get frustrated about. It seems to go to Benrahma, and it seems to all of a sudden the forward momentum seems to decelerate.
Yeah, I mean, Scott's right. He is a creative player. We praise Lanzini. Lanzini doesn't lose the ball. That's the difference. As Anton says there, he penetrates the defence. He he can see those passes. He knows when to recycle the ball. Someone the other day moaned about Mark Noble being dispossessed. Well, Mark Noble was dispossessed once in that game. Benrahma twice. But Benrahma, he's a creative player. We can allow that. Well, not really. Not when we want to be going forward. It's not a case of going backwards or sideways. It's a case of recycling the ball when there's nothing in front of you. Benrahma doesn't do that. Benrahma doesn't recycle the ball. Not well enough anyway, and not at the right times.
I'm just going to answer this one from Gaza. We haven't had a proper left winger. I don't think that proper left wingers are actually in vogue. A left winger for me is someone that plays on the left and their strongest foot is their left foot, not their right foot, because then they're not wingers, they're inverted forwards, which seems to be the way. The width nowadays seems to be supplied by the fullbacks pushing on. And you've got a defensive midfielder that will sort of plug the gap there when they start pushing on. So we don't have wingers, traditional old school wingers like Matty Etherington, like Alan Devonshire, like Mark Ward. They were people that played on the wide, and they had their strongest foot was on the side that they played. They went round the outside. They got crosses into the box for the centre forwards. That's not the way the game's played now. Those players are on opposite sides now, and they will cut in and get shots away. It's a completely different thing. As for Benrahma being a 10, I kind of disagree. I can understand why people make that assertion, but I just look at when he was at Brentford. Now, I know it was a championship team. They were a rung below the Premier League, but they played 4-3-3, and he was on the left of the front three. Now, I know you could turn around and say quality players can adapt, and I take that on board, but I just think that is the formation that he thrived in, and I just think that if you're going to see the best out of Saeed Benrahma, possibly that's the formation you need to play. Having said that, of course, you can't change a formation just to suit one player. So what do? That's kind of why I think that maybe next season he's not going to be here.
I mean, as you've seen, I've got several comments.
Yep, crack on.
I'm going to read a couple of them.
Go for it.
Lanzini's a safe player. Do you see him pinging 40 yards or beating 2 or 3? Do you see Benrahma consistently taking it round 2 or 3, or do you see him running down the ring and running into a cul-de-sac and not being able to get across the way or losing the ball? Do you see Benrahma ping 40, 50? No, you don't. I'm sorry, you don't see that. He may well have had a 96% completion passing on Sunday.
That's impressive.
What do you make? Four normal passes? That's not including the crosses? What are we saying? 4 passes. That's where he's... What are you talking about?
Mark Noble was 94%.
Yeah. And he probably passed the ball 600 or 700 times in that game. Sideways, forwards, backwards, whatever. Lanzini is our best 10. There are other options in Benrahma, Vlasic, Fornals, Yarmo at a push, but Benny is probably nowhere near the top of that list. And I agree with Budgie there.
Yarmo is a 10.
But you could. And the fact that you can put Yarmo, the fact that I'd pick Yarmo as a 10 ahead of Benrahma says a lot.
Yeah. Fornals and Vlasic, I agree. Benrahma.
And I'm going to agree with Mitch on the first part, not necessarily on the second part.
Yeah, we need a new striker. That's as plain as the nose on your face.
Me and Scott finally come to an agreement that we do. And I've got no problem with Scott.
At some point.
I want to clear that up. I've got no problem with Scott. I like Scott. We have a lot of backwards and forwards, and sometimes I think he's right. Sometimes I think he's wrong. Most times I think he's wrong. Sometimes I think he's right. But that's what this is all about. We put ourselves out there. We have that chat. We have that conversation. But I completely agree. We do need a new striker. We need a striker, not a. I'm going to say I agree with you about 55% on that one. 60%. I'm going to give you 60. I do agree with you for 60% on that one. But we do need an out striker. And by that I mean stop fucking moving out left and right and stay where you're meant to be, and you might score goals and you might score significantly more. That's where he played at the first half of the season, Rob, and he tend to stay more central and score goals when we were banging on about him possibly having the golden boot.
Yeah.
And here we are going, now he's had an absolute mare. He scored 1 goal since January? Ain't good enough for a striker, I'm sorry. And I will criticise him because of that.
Yeah. Do I think Bowen would be a good traditional left winger? Possibly. I've not seen. Put it this way: I've never seen him on the left. What do you think, Duke?
I think what you're doing there is you are cutting off your nose to spite your face, though, because although Bowen does have a pretty good left foot coming in and scoring goals with his left foot, let's be fair, what you're doing is you're then taking away that asset. You're taking away that asset of Bowen's left foot coming in to score goals, to use it as a pitching wedge to deliver some decent chip balls into the box, which for every 15 crosses we might score 3 goals, yet for every 8 shots with his left foot he might score 5. You see what I mean? You're kind of taking one strength away. How are you going to replace that? Mwah! Love you, Scotty boy.
See, they've kissed and made up. Oh,
listen, we never fell out.
No. I mean, it was mentioned earlier. Let me just wind back a little bit. The name Keane Lewis Potter was mentioned.
Oh, I can't wait. Honestly,
I think that if we sign him, that probably limits the chances of Saeed Benrahma's future at London Stadium. Whether you're a fan of his or not, I think that's a statement you have to agree with. If Keane Lewis Potter comes through the door, I think that Saeed Benrahma's days at West Ham are numbered.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I just had an absolute epiphany.
Go for it.
Let me answer this quickly.
Can you spell it?
Yeah, no, I tell you. Just to answer Budgie's question, can you go back one? Yes, he could, but I think you lose the benefit of him being on the other side, Budge. But yeah, he could quite easily.
Fair enough.
Just had a massive epiphany working out 3 comments together. So Keane Lewis Potter comes in, which looks to be, I wouldn't necessarily say nailed on, but looks like a pretty decent shout. I see my big ass forehead on screen. Look at that. Big ass shiny. That's better. Actually, no, it's not. You can see my face. So there was link.
Can't now.
I covered my face up then. I was like, what's he done?
Sorry, mate. I couldn't resist.
Keane Lewis Potter comes in.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask anyone else in the chat. There was rumours yesterday that, and they were across 2 or 3 different news outlets. I was on, I was actually on News Now, my News Now website that I have bookmarked at the top of my screen. And people were talking about Christian Eriksen.
Well, because hang on, let me just wind back because Mitch mentioned him.
That's exactly where I was going with this.
Yep.
This is exactly what I was about to say. So, Tony or Eriksen,
well, we wouldn't need to give them any money because he's out of contract.
No, Eriksen. Yeah,
Eriksen.
No.
So he would be free.
So you bring in Eriksen on a free, you'd swap Benrahma and a bit of cash for Tony. Okay, straight off the bat. So there you go. You bought in them 2 players. Okay, whether or not Brentford will do that remains to be seen. But Eriksen then replaces the departing Lanzini.
Okay.
Tony replaces him up front, Antonio.
Him up front.
Eriksen in the 10. Keane Lewis Potter out on the left. Jared Bowen on the right. Ivan Toney up front. Oh!
You like that?
Oh. Won't lie to you, mate. I'm glad I'm sitting at a desk because there's a lot going on in the trousers department right now. I'm slightly aroused by that. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, okay. There is the respective form in the Europa League and in all competitions of the combatants tomorrow at the Deutsch Park Stadium. What are you thinking? I'm looking at it and thinking, well, that, as you said earlier, they're very beatable. They're on a 6-match winless run, and they've only won 2 out of their last 11, and they were against us in the first leg and against Barcelona in the second leg of that previous tie in the quarters.
Sorry. Oh.
What?
I love Scott. He's a knob. I'll come back to them in a minute. I love it.
Okay. I'll let you deal with them.
No. Yeah. I mean, listen. They're actually quite poor. I know we're not exactly in a great situation ourselves, and as I said after the Arsenal game, I saw a lot of the old West Ham are back kind of comments because we've lost 4 on the spin. As I've turned around and said,
crept up quite quickly there, didn't it?
It ramped up massively, and it was ridiculous. There was no need for a lot of it, to be honest with you. There was no need for a lot of it.
Yeah, I did think it was over
because as a season as a whole, and as you've said a few times, hang on, I need to
knowing our luck, yes.
I need to save that one as well.
Okay,
so don't use that one.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get some people with the negativity around the season. I get negativity around certain games. I can fully understand that. I can get negativity around certain players. I mean, fuck me. I can't state that I'm completely innocent on that one when you consider that the way I go in after a certain player every week of the fucking year. So I get, but to be really negative about, after one game, oh, West Ham are back. Woo! Oh, shut up.
It's like they're almost glad about it.
You know what? There it is. Semi-final of the Europa League at the moment, could get better. Quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. Last 16 of the FA Cup. 7th in the Premier League, which is looking more and more nailed on as the games now slip by. Behave yourselves, people. This is a fucking amazing season. One that I'm privileged that you and I, Rob, have been able to cover on Forged. Even the last 2, well, 1.5 that you and me have managed to cover on Forged. It's been outstanding. I've loved it. If I may just do those quick starred ones.
Fire away, my friend.
From the wonderful Mr. Venn. Just
go for it.
Ken. He came out and he said Ericsson for Lanzini is a bell of a call, to be fair. Now, before he gave his quick starred comment a bit further down, I thought, is he calling me a bell end? It's a bit of a bell comment, isn't it, really? I wasn't sure what he was getting at. What he meant was hell of a call, not the bell of a call. So thank you, Scott. I'm glad you agree. And then Kent comes in with
Scott
Ollie Watkins.
And Duke agreeing.
Ollie Watkins should be top of the list. And again, me and Kent have agreed on this, numerous occasions. But like Scott's just said, I've just spent £300 million. And we might not have that. If anyone can grab hold of a couple of, multi-billionaires, we might need them if I decide I'm going to become the new head of scouting, because I would have had Karim Adeyemi already, without a doubt. I mean, I get what Gaz is saying there. Once they've all been too busy having gift gaffing between them all. We do need a bigger and better squad. It's not a case of falling short. I don't think we've fallen short this season. If you turn around and said to me, can you stop winding up Kent, please, with that graphic, or the graphic before? Stop it.
Sorry.
As he says there.
I can't please everyone.
Stop. Graphic means nothing to him. It's a one-on-one shootout. And he's
it
right.
Means nothing to me.
He's right. It's a one-off shootout. Hang on.
I just get this information in. It's not my fault, Ken. I'm sorry.
Star Wars Day, Scott. It is Star Wars Day today. May the 4th be with you, people. No, I mean, I agree with what Gazza says, but I don't think we've fallen short. If you'd said to me last season, at the start of the season, you're going to finish 7th, you're going to have Europa League, you're going to have a quarterfinal of a Carabao Cup, you're going to have the last 16 of the FA Cup. Would you accept that? Yes. But what if I was to tell you that's you falling short? Well, falling short of what? That's already where I think you've already told me, and I'm fucking over the moon with that. You know, I don't see that as being as us falling short. I still think it's a fantastic season. Now, if next season we don't live up to expectations, then that's falling short. This wasn't an expectation this year. We certainly didn't think we were going to. We certainly didn't think we were going to finish 7th and be in the Europa League semi-final. I, for one, thought we might struggle in the league if we prioritise the Europa League, or if we prioritise the league, we'd struggle in the Europa League. No. Gaza, I agree with you. No. Falling short as in the players getting injured. You couldn't have made up the fact that we'd lose 3 of our 4.
Yeah.
Centre backs. We were covered at centre back.
We was all thinking it was going to be Antonio, weren't we?
Yeah. Or none of us were even concerned about the situation. What happens if Declan Rice goes down? We did that in a video a few months back, Rob, didn't we? And luckily, it wasn't overly the case. Here's one. Yes, Scott. In a minute. Benrahma's nowhere near it.
He got the winning penalty against City.
No, actually, I would give it to him. I would give him a penalty. He's a good penalty taker. I think he's 3-3 on penalties. He's got 100% backing.
There you go.
But it ain't going that far, people. It ain't going that far.
Press well.
It ain't going pens. It ain't going pens. It's going extra time, but it ain't going pens.
You reckon it's going to extra time, like Seville?
Yeah. Oh, James, good afternoon, sir. Good morning, good afternoon. No, we're still morning, I think. We're afternoon.
I think it's a hypothetical, but I think the chances are, if we'd have recruited well, yes.
And that was going to be my caveat to it. Yes, if we'd recruited the right people.
Yeah. If we'd have gone out there and bought dog shit, then it might have actually been detrimental.
If we'd just gone out and bought bench players, then I don't think we would have benefited from that. But if we'd actually gone out and and got maybe a Calvin Phillips,
Divock Origi,
Darwin Nunez, if we could have got Diaz, then yes, this is a significant improvement, and more than likely we probably would have. Or if we could have got Jesse Lingard, we could have nailed on 4th place already, I think. But he's
wasted the last year. He has
massively. But then that being said, if we'd just gone out and got players to strengthen the bench, you know, not having 3 goalkeepers in one game, etc., then no, probably not. I think it just depends on how you want to look at it. So my caveat would be, if we'd strengthened correctly, yes, we probably would have finished higher in the league and probably wouldn't be losing after the first leg of the semi-final. But if we'd only really gone out and just bought in like players to strengthen the bench, no, I don't. I think that would have been more of an issue than anything else.
Fair. You got any more of the starred comments you want to chop through, mate?
No, I was just Mr. Venz for the penalty takers. Looking at what he's got there: Noble, Dawson, Cress, Benny or Lanzini, depending on who's on the pitch.
You've missed one comment out, I notice. Right at the very beginning, Dan asked that.
No, I thought I'd start that. Did I not start it?
No, you started it, but you haven't brought it up.
I haven't brought it up. Mate, let me go back to penalties a minute.
Hey?
Penalties. I agree with Scott, actually, on his penalty taking there, but I would probably...
Ooh. Decisions.
I might. Declan Rice would take one as well.
Really?
Noble, Dawson, Cresswell, Rice. And then out of Benrahma, Lanzini and Bowen to be the final ones to take the penalty.
Okay. Interesting. I think if Noble is on the pitch, he has to take the first one. That's a given.
No, I don't agree with Epic. Moyes deserves the blame. If he's given the list of targets of who he wants to the ball, then the Bulls don't want to or can't get those transfers over the line. That's not down to Moyes. Moyes has his thing. Do I agree that Moyes should have more of a bigger pond of players to pick from? Yes, you might have a point, Mitch. Do I think that he should have a bigger pool of players to pick from rather than just having the same 3 or 4, maybe 5 every time we can't get them? Well, then we don't fucking get no one. Maybe there should be 2 players for each position that he's looking at. So if he's looking at Keane Lewis Potter for the left, is there another left winger that we're currently looking at that would be a good number 2? Do you see what I mean? If he's looking at a left back and he's looking at, I don't know, Rico Henry or Coletta Carr, is there another one behind that if we can't get number 1, then there's at least a number 2 that wouldn't be our priority, but if we can't get our priority, then we have a number 2. I agree with...
We have a number 2?
I agree with that. Let's have this one.
Okay, what we got here? Question to the panel. Does this now prove that Moyes has no faith in youth players currently after seeing the team versus Arsenal? Where do the youth players go here at the club? James, if I may refer you to a live stream that we did yesterday called Talk West Ham. That was one of my little topics that I brought up. Is the Academy of Football tag redundant? Because there was a piece of information that I got, and I don't know if this is something you're aware of, but there was a table that came into my possession yesterday of percentage of minutes in the Premier League played by under 21s players, and we are 19th out of 20 of the Premier League teams with 0.1% of minutes of Premier League football played by under 21s players. The only team that was worse than us was with 0% was Newcastle United. Does it prove that Moyes has no faith in youth players? I think that is indisputable. But is it because the youth players just simply aren't good enough? I know you could turn around and say, but the under 23s are ripping it up. But there's a world of difference between under 23s football and Premier League football, as you and I have both discussed. I think that we are missing a trick by not getting these players out playing Championship, League One, League Two football and getting them tested. I think that is where we're missing a trick. It works for a lot of other clubs. Why can't it work for us?
That, Rob, comes from the fact that the priority of Premier League 2 football is regarded higher than going out and learning your trade at a lower league.
Which is ridiculous, isn't it?
Listen, you and I have had this conversation several times, both on and off of streams. You get picked for a Premier. It looks better on your CV, Premier League 2 or League 2 or Conference on loan. These young players don't want the blemish of that on their. Despite the fact that more than likely
for Preston or something like that,
but more than likely, more of them are going to end up playing Conference League, National League, as it's called, North and South. More than they're going to be playing league football if they don't go out to learn their trade. We watched the under-23s down at Ebbsfleet, Rob, before the season started, and I have to say I was only impressed by Harrison Ashby out of that group.
I remember that.
We know why.
Yes, we do.
I did cringe as my 7-year-old went, "Oh!"
That's an interesting word, Daddy.
Daddy, he knows the same words as you do. But I wasn't impressed by any of them. They're coming up against these, and as I've said it before, they're coming up against these, the Baptiste and Alesse, for instance. Mm-hmm. They're coming up against a journeyman striker who's had all the experience in the world of playing at those lower leagues and knows what it takes to get through a game. They didn't have an answer to the 2 centre forwards of Ebbsfleet, Rob. They really didn't.
No.
They couldn't handle them because they'd plied their trade. And they plied their trade. Yeah. Now, you look at the likes of Jermaine Defoe. Jermaine Defoe we got from Charlton. We then got him into us. We coached him the West Ham way. We fucked him off to Bournemouth for a season. And he was absolutely outstanding. Jermaine Defoe became the player he was at West Ham and Spuds, England, and all the rest of it. Because of that loan deal down at because of the loan deal that he got down at Bournemouth. Okay, that's why Jermaine Defoe became as good as he did. I just feel like we are really missing a trick by not letting, even if it's just right, go out for 3 months on loan, sending these players out to, the likes of Bolton, the likes of Gillingham, the likes of, like you said, Preston North End. Beckham ended up at Preston. It didn't do him any fucking harm in his career, did it? Let's be honest. I think that these guys need to go out on loan. For, like I say, 3 months at a time. Sign them as 3 months contracts, because you never know if a player is going to be absolutely tearing up a situation in a lower league, and we can bring them back. Whereas if you go, right, season, no recall, bollocks, he's having a blinder down there. Look at him. We could have done with that shit in our team. You go 3 months at a time, they get some game time under their belt. They're not just playing against people their own age and their own stature and their own experience. They're going out against a 33-year-old brick shithouse centre forward who not only is he playing football on a Saturday afternoon, he's a fucking odd carrier Monday to Friday because he has to have another job. He ain't pampered prick like some of these under-23s that I'm seeing driving fucking, Lamborghinis down the road.
I agree with that, Ben.
Yes, I'm spot on. I think this is what these guys need to learn the value of that loan. They need to learn the value of what it can do. And what frustrates the granny out of me is we're actually letting these players become pampered at a young age and thinking that they've already got it playing in the under-23s Premier League too.
Well, they're earning a fair
exactly
wage, aren't they?
I didn't even read that comment, and literally, that's exactly the words that I've just said. So me and James are in agreement.
That I got you
the Tony Carr one, mate. I haven't. It's currently behind my Paolo Di Canio shirt.
When you do get round to it, he makes the assertion that players like Rio Ferdinand and Frank Lampard were the last of the generation, if you will, of players that would do the more menial tasks of, cleaning the changing rooms, of doing the boots and all the rest of it. And basically the generation that followed, or generations that have followed since, don't do that. So they don't have that same grounding.
Reece Oxford.
Yes.
Reece Oxford, one good game, gets a 40 grand a week contract and then goes, bollocks, I don't need to do nothing else. I've made it. And the attitude saw him being the number one ranked youth team player at our club, technically better and had a better future at that moment in time than Mr. Declan Rice. But because he got arrogant, because he's made it, look at him now. He's playing centre-back at Augsburg, I think, in Germany. Who
we're linked with him, though.
Listen, I take him back. I take him back tomorrow, Rob, because he's turned into such a good player because the mentality has changed.
Do you think he realised that he fucked up?
Yeah, and he had to work hard. He fucked up. I'm not being funny. When you are being battered left, right, and centre by Ademola Lookman in the German league, you know you've done something wrong. And like Ken says, the kids need to be kicked from pillar to post in an old-fashioned way. They need to be shown the rough side of the game. I'm not being funny.
That's the way the world is.
When you're going out against Rob, it's just they're playing kids their own age. They're playing for the most part. I know Yarmolenko rocked up for the under-23s the other night, but for the most part, they play against players their own age, their own size, their own stature, their own experience, and they're not learning nothing. Then when they rock up and they come up against the older players in the Premier League,
it's a bit of a shock, isn't it?
What the fuck? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just this one here from Mitch. I'm the captain of my team and I clear up the changing room after we play to set an example for the younger players we have for the team. I'm only 20, so still young, but ha. And the thing is, I mean, there was that photograph after the Lyon game, wasn't there, of Mark Noble cleaning the changing rooms there. And I mentioned it at the time. I said, go and read a book called Legacy by James Kerr. And it's about the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby union team. the most successful team in sport, bar none, over 100 years. And they've got certain pillars that they use to underpin what they achieve. And one of them, and it sounds really simple, but they've got a mantra: sweep the sheds. They will, after they finish their game, so whether they're in South Africa, whether they're in France, whether they're at Twickenham, they will sweep the sheds. They will literally clean the place and leave it looking as it was. They're not going to leave it to a cleaner. They're not going to leave it to Doris, who's on minimum wage, to sort of wave the mop around. They do it themselves. And these are well-paid players, but they don't see that that's beneath them. They buy into that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, Epic's right there. Moyes doesn't know what to do with the players that don't fit perfectly into the system, and it's his system. That doesn't make him wrong. Obviously, that's why he wants the players that listen, we proved that his system does work for the last 2 seasons. It does work. We're now on the verge of qualifying for Europe for a second time consecutively. He says there he doesn't think he's ever going to win a trophy. Well, we're 2 wins away from winning a trophy, or 2 wins away from winning a trophy. So I don't think you can say you don't think we'll ever win it, or he will ever win a trophy. I think they look slightly different. And this, I tell you what, Mitch, I'll take my hat off to you, my man. Your comment from before and your comment here, mate,
discipline.
I take my hat off to you, and if the rest of them follow suit, and if the rest of them follow in, the path that you're setting out for them, mate, I think your team will do really well. And as Sharky says there, for the most part, it is just basic manners.
Yes, consideration. You turn up on time for training. Listen, we're all late, aren't we, Duke? I had to. I'm sorry. That was a low blow, but I had to. But we're all late from time to time. But when it becomes the norm and everyone starts doing it, that just sets the tone for me. So my brother Ben's just come in. He's only 2 years into a rebuild. Need to give him another 3 years in terms of trophies. It may well be that he wins a trophy 3 years ahead of schedule. Then who knows?
Yep. Budgie, I like Budgie's next comment there. Maybe the pre-season should incorporate a run of in-house games with mixed senior and developmental players playing against each other. They give the academy lads massive experience, and us too. Personally, think I'd like to see us use more of our academy boys in games where they're coming up. The academy players need to come up against some solid, old school, grizzled, miserable bastard players like us. Because at the end of the day, they've been there and done it.
I was going to say that, though. I would be surprised if that's not already part of their development, that they do play against. But that is, I'm not being funny. If you're Craig Dawson and you're playing against Sonny Perkins in a training match, are you going to go full in on him?
No. Whereas if it's let's go back, I don't know, 25 years, 30 years, and 25 years, and you're looking at maybe, or 20 years, a young 16-year-old Jermaine Defoe coming up against someone like a Razor Ruddock or something, some jumped up little 16-year-old whippersnapper taking the piss. Bang, get up. That's fucking football. Cheers, there. Scott. Get up, you little shit. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
If I may, I'm going to bring this man's comment up, and I've got a lot of time for this comment. I know Moyes has done a good job in 24 months, but does the board and ownership have to now support him with the money, and serious money at that? Yes. James, if there's one thing I'm ever going to agree with you on, it's this comment right here. I think that the days now of, shall we say, pussyfooting around, the days of, we'll pay you £12 million more, but can we play it over 37 years? Those days are gone. We can't keep doing that. If the board are going to be serious about backing Moyes, they have to back him with proper money, proper pay schedules. I know. Listen, we all do it. I'll pay you. We'll pay you. It's £25 million. We'll pay you £8 million a year for the whatever, right? But if they want 25 million up front, then either you do the deal or you don't keep going back in with stupid fucking bids, right?
It's like that character. You remember Harry Enfield?
Yes.
I'll get you. Only get out another batch of money.
Yeah, no, but that's what we've got to do. That's what we've got to do. We've got to be. If we're going to back him, they're going to have to back him, because I tell you what, it ain't going to be long before someone sees what Moyes has done and goes, "Do you want to come over here?" Yeah, look.
If they stay up, Everton.
Well, it's ridiculous. You're not wrong. We're in a situation now where we're at a crossroads. I feel right now we're at a crossroads. Yeah, smash them. Have that. We're at a crossroads where we either go left and we circle back on ourselves over the course of 5 years, and Luke's right. 90% of transfers are paid in season instalments, and that's
they are, but we like to
take
it out a bit, don't we?
We either go left and we do a big arc all the way back, and we go back where we've been for the last 15 years, where it's flirt with relegation, get relegated, come back up, look good, maybe an FA Cup final, maybe Europe, and then we go round to the left again, and we do that all over again. Or we go to the right now at this crossroads, and that's a whole different story. That's the ball back in the manager. That's the ball fucking off in 12 months' time, like we expect them to, and a new owner coming in, regardless of who it is, that takes us to the next level, because that's the crossroads. That's where I feel we're at. We're at that crossroads now. I think we need to. The board need to put their money where their mouth is. I know there was rumours that a few years ago that when we qualified to get through to a cup game and we were playing Everton, and the board were pissed off that they were going to have to pay 20 grand to charter a jet.
Yeah, I heard that. That was David Sullivan.
Like, what the fuck is that? You want to be the next level club. You can't be moaning. I'm not being funny. Chelsea are lucky to have 20 grand a time to be able to take their teams to games at the minute. They were lucky to get that. And if I'm right in thinking, if the takeover's not done by the 31st of May,
yes,
Chelsea will go into administration. Be grateful we're not them right now, by the way. I don't see it happening, but let's be grateful we're not.
Shall we? Oh, go on.
I think he's going to need at least £100 million. At least.
Is that before player sales?
That's before player sales. We need that. When you consider Krul goes back, not a big loss, no. Krul goes back, Areola goes back, Fredericks is out of contract, Noble's out of contract, Yarmolenko's out of contract. There was one other, but I can't think of who it is. It was 6. Masuaku.
No, he's
no, but he'll be going. He'll be going.
Oh, yeah.
So you're looking at 6 that we already need to. Yeah, well, we're looking at 6 we already need to replace as such. Definitely 5. Masuaku leaving 6. So definitely 5 we're looking at replacing. That's without then extending the squad to what we actually physically need. That's not even just a, strengthening the squad.
Right. Let's get down to it.
If I find myself going on too far, just press them videos and I'll shut up.
Right. Okay. Score prediction. I want you guys in the live chat getting involved with this one. Give us your thoughts. Is it going all the way to extra time? Is it going to penalties? Give us your score predictions. Give us your goal scorers. Put as much information out there as possible, and we will get into as many of them as we can. So, Duke, talk to me. What's going to happen?
2-1, 90 minutes, 3-1 extra time.
Oh, so again, it'll be kind of like what happened in the tie against Seville, going into extra time, and it's one goal that decides it in extra time.
Yeah, I think it's very much going to pull along the same lines as the Seville game. I think we're gonna look good for our money out there. I really do. I think we can rock up on any given night and beat these teams in Europe. We've proved that with Lyon. We've proved that with Seville. I can see it being a 2-1. There you go. Your brother agrees with me. I can see it, and Sharky. It's going to be a 2-1 after 90. I can see us going 1-0 up, 2-0 up, and then them getting a goal, which might rock us slightly. But sorry, bloody knackered. Been up early. And then I can see us getting the third. And I tell you what, I want nothing more than to be Yama coming off the bench and hitting that third one in extra time. Oh,
fair. I don't know. I'm torn. I look at their home form, and that gives me a great deal of reason for optimism. But it has to be said that we haven't exactly been in brilliant form ourselves to possibly capitalize on it. Being my pessimistic self, I don't think either team's keeping a clean sheet.
Nope.
And I think it's going to finish a Desmond.
Oh.
And it's going to be one of those things of so near yet so far, which we're used to. Let's be completely honest about it. My heart says something different. My heart says we're going to pull it off. My heart says, and
don't tug it too hard, then, Robert, and it won't come off.
Not pull that off. That's why it's got a knob bit on the end, because your hand doesn't shoot off. I had to. Of course I want us to win. I'm not being funny. I'm jumping in on a plane in a couple of hours, and I'm going there. I wouldn't have done that if I'd have thought we were going to go there to get smashed.
You don't have.
I think we've got a chance.
You're only going to the bars, aren't you? Is that right?
At the minute, I haven't got a match ticket, but it could change.
Who knows what might fall into your hands as you're out there.
Exactly. I'm putting myself in a position to get lucky. And if I don't, I did it at Lyon. I watched the Lyon game in a pub in Lyon, and I had a fantastic time. Wouldn't change it. So happens again. Fantastic. Whatever.
I'll tell you what, Budgie's seen us scoring 4 goals tomorrow night. Oh, Budge, I hope you're right, son. I hope you're right. Frankfurt play their best football away from home. Yeah, you know what, Mitch? I said this at the start of the stream. I think they're out of 19 games this season at home, they've lost 10 or 12.
Getting told off by my little brother.
Yeah, little brother, tell him off. Smack him up the side of his peasy ass head.
I can say what I want.
Smack him up the side of his peasy ass head.
Is he telling me off for the knob comment?
No, I think he's saying that you can't say that we're going to lose. I
didn't say we were going to lose. I said it was going to be a 2-2.
No, you said we were going to lose so near so far because we'd lose 4-3 on aggregate.
Maybe we will. I can say that. Like I say, that's the pessimistic side of me. That's the West Ham fan that's been used to us getting to positions where you get that little bit of hope. You know the old saying, it's the hope that kills you. And I've been there so many times. I was there at an FA Cup final where we were 3-2 up against the European champions. And I turned to my mate that was sat next to me and said, we're, quotes unquote, we're going to win the fucking cup. And as I turned around, the ball's dropping out of the air. Steven Gerrard's running onto it. And we know what happened next.
I'm crying now. Thank you, Rob.
No, but what I'm saying is when you've been through years of that sort of crap, it becomes quite difficult for you to be conditioned into thinking, of course we're going to go there and win and actually believe it. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean to sound funny about it, but
Budgie's ruined it now. He said Pepper was going to score. I agree with James. Big person.
I agree with that. Jesus Christ. I'm not touching it. Right, okay, my hands are here. You do it. Right, there you go.
He's right in what he says. We have to score first.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow.
If we concede first, that's a long way back.
Listen, it doesn't matter if we concede first. It's not over. This is what I was saying earlier at the start of the video about the Liverpool game last night with Villarreal. Villarreal scored 2 and still end up losing. It's not the end of the world if you don't score first. What I will say is the first goal is a big goal in this tie. You know, it gives if they score first, it gives them the opportunity then of being able to sit back and not have to worry about going forward. They can park the bus and say, well, go on, and you've got to score 2 now regardless. Whereas if we come out, we get the first goal, it's with us. Momentum, the crowd silence is up. You know, it does, for me, it doesn't matter who scores the first tomorrow. If they score the first, then we have to play and we have to break them down and we have to score 2 to get, you know, to level the tie. But, you know, it isn't the end of the world if we do concede first. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you. You make the reference to the Liverpool game where Villarreal scored first last night. The difference was that going into that game, Liverpool had a 2-0 lead, not a 2-1 deficit. So if they score first and it becomes a 3-1 aggregate deficit, that's an awfully long way back.
Not overly. It's 2 goals, which we proved we can score 2 goals away from home in Europe. We've already proved that we can do that. So,
Luke, don't give me that. You came here for the smutty talk. Don't give me that nonsense.
He loves a bit of smut. That's the legend.
119th winner, Dawson header.
Listen, Sharky. If that happens tomorrow, I will probably drop to my knees and cry on the floor of my pub.
Oh,
I don't know.
right,
You see,
okay.
smutty talk. Look, Luke. I promise you now, if it's that late in the game or even penalties, well, in fact, you know what? That whistle blows and we win, I will be in tears in my pub. There's no 2 ways about it. There's no 2 ways about it. And I won't be the only one. I can imagine that there's, you know, the 20 people in the chat, the thousands that are going to be going, whether they're going to the game or whether they're going to go like yourself and just be around everyone else.
So if we lose, it's my fault.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm blaming you as well.
Fault. I get blamed for everything. So if I'd have said we're going to win 3-1, do I then get the credit?
No, you can't now. No, because you've already fucking
No. I'm posing you a hypothetical.
No, there is no hypothetical. You've ruined it. No, you've ruined it, Pratt. I've said we're going to win 3-1. I get the credit if we win.
Okay.
And yes, Budgie, I know it was 3 goals in Leon. I was just saying we've scored 2 goals away from. Love you, Budge. Final question from me. If we
you press that. Go on.
If we win a penalty in 90 minutes, who's the taker if no ball isn't on the pitch? I'm going one of 2 people. Gatesy, give me yours. See if we agree. Pick two. I've got 2. You pick 2.
Well, if it's the starting 11 that I put up, let's just assume that. Lanzini.
Oh, good shout. Good shout. I'm actually going to go slightly off-piste. And if we're going by your starting lineup, I'm giving it the big doors. Okay. I'm giving it to Craig Dawson off of the back of yours. I would have gone Cresswell if Cresswell was there, but if we're going off your starting lineup, I'm giving it the big doors because tell you what, that boy can take a pen.
He's blaming me for the. So it's my fault we didn't win the FA Cup, ladies and gentlemen. It's my fault.
You wanker.
I listen, guys. It wasn't Shaka Hislop's fault. He couldn't do anything. It was all me. He stood behind Pepe Reina's goal in 2006 as the ball dropped out of the air, turning around to my mate and saying, quotes unquotes, "We're going to win the fucking cup." That was all my fault. Of course it was. And Ben says Lanzini or Rice. Like I say, I'm going to go Lanzini.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Me and James are getting closer and closer. I think. Look at this. We're having a right old. Me and E20. We're having a right old loving today. Look at this.
I'm going to have to get you to a room.
But no, I'll tell you
That's
now.
Worrying.
Dawson he's right in what he says. He has an excellent record, and watching him take that penalty against City in the Moose Cup, the Caribou Cup, that was a pen and a half. That was a pen and a half.
She's only little.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a godfather. I'm allowed to. I'm teaching all the stuff. That penalty that he took against them was outstanding.
Kent's sticking up for me. He says that there were lots of others saying the same thing in 2006. So it wasn't just me. There was probably a lot of people in the stadium that were having that very thought and maybe even articulating it like I did. So it's not all my fault.
Possibly.
Bastards.
That's right.
There you go.
Right,
we're just going to go through these final few comments. Budgie says 4 nows.
Not a bad shout.
Yeah.
Not a bad shout.
Yeah. And James is a little bit worried about you two agreeing on so much. But he still thinks that Ben Rama's shit.
I do. But I respect everyone's opinions. And I believe it.
Oh dear. Right. Any final thoughts, Duke, before we knock it on the head and I jump onto a plane?
You said onto a plane. No.
Oh, your microphone's gone.
What do you mean?
You sound like there you go.
It's because it was around the back of me like that. You can't hear me much around there, but if I put it there, you can hear me, right? There we go.
We'd be able to hear you when you talk out your ass, which is actually a bit more regular than. I'm only joking.
Normal for me. Listen, I am confident tomorrow. I am thinking 3-1 after extra time. I do believe Steve and his son James are coming to see me tomorrow. So if there's anyone out there that is wanting to watch the game tomorrow, doesn't know where to go, Lewisham Tavern is the place to be tomorrow night. That place there, 1 Lehigh Road, SE13 5LD. You can get on. There it is. Better flowers now.
You need to update that photo.
I do. Listen, it's just off of Google. It's not the greatest, but that's my pub. So if anyone wants to watch it, please come on over. It should be a good evening. I'm confident right now, Rob, but I know the closer we get to kick-off, the more sick I'm going to feel. I really do think I'm going to be ill. Go on, Ben. Yes, join me. I do think I'll be sick as a dog come probably 7 o'clock tomorrow. All the hype. I mean, I'm out tonight. I'm going to see a singer called Ashley McBride. She's amazing. I recommend her. But what I'll say is by the time I hit tomorrow morning, the nervous excitement is then going to start to become an ill feeling, and I'll feel sick, and it'll kick off, and then I'll just start screaming. I'll be drinking non-alcoholic lager tomorrow because of
course you will.
I need to lose some weight. She's barred. She's not allowed to come.
Oh no.
I've decided.
I'll try, Ben. I'll try.
Yeah, don't drink too much, Rob.
Oh, I can't promise that. There might be another video diary that I have to put together.
Do it.
And it will start. Yeah, but it will be like the last one where it was the day of the match will start with me sort of fairly compos mentis and gradually getting more sort of like giggly and shouty and just basically pissed up.
Ken says he don't think he's going to be able to watch the game because he's not going to feel he's going to feel ill.
No, you've got to do it, Ken. You got to do it.
Yeah, listen, we don't get these games too often. It's not like we're a Liverpool or a Chelsea or any of these guys. You know, Man City. We have to enjoy them while we can, whether that's
definitely,
you know, whether or not it ends up being a result that we don't necessarily like or agree with or want. We still got to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, but my voice did get a little bit. What was it? Sean Dyche-esque, wasn't it?
Yes.
Which is quite ironic because it was around about the same time he got sacked, and I was sounding like him. But anyway, right, let's wrap it up. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share the stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. As always, guys, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavour. Duke, talk to me. What are we?
We are fucking massive, and we're going to show it tomorrow.
Let's do it. Come on, you Irons.